praises to the Most High Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahushai, double honors to the elders and apostles of GMS who were well, Shalom to the elect, double honors to the other elders who were well. Lord willing, this video is edifying. I see this the other day, and I just wanted to go into this real quick. Lord willing, it won't be a long video.
Tattoos and piercings,
Good question. In Leviticus we read, don't put tattoos on your body.
Is that the Old Testament?
Exactly, it's Leviticus. Now the question is, see, what you always got to do when you interpret, you got to put it in context. So the question is, why in Leviticus would it say that tattoos are bad? All you got to do is read Elijah on Mount Carmel, competing against the prophets of Baal. God sent fire, and the people of Israel are watching, and they're seeking to determine who's the real true living God, Baal or Yahweh. The prophets of Baal pray, Baal, send fire, Baal, send fire. Nothing happens. What do? They start cutting themselves. The blood begins to flow. Why? Because that culture, that religion taught, if you want to get God's attention, you start cutting yourself, let the blood flow, and then God will answer your prayers. Then God will give you his attention. That's false.
Now, this guy got no beard, he's talking about, and what he's saying, it does have some truth in it, that's what they were doing, but at the same time, when you take a tattoo, you are cutting into your flesh, He says, it talks about it being in context, I always say to the brothers, I've heard other brothers say this before. What would Yahushua do? I know people who self-harm. They cut themselves. They slit their wrists. If Yahushua was here today in this day and age, he wouldn't be doing stuff like that. Can you imagine Yahushua sitting in a tattoo chair getting a tattoo? He wouldn't do that. So why would you? Even when you read the comments, everybody doesn't necessarily agree with him. They're saying it's a worldly thing. Because even when you look at into getting tattoo removal, I'll just play this video real quick.
That snap, 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 snap sound that you're hearing, that is the sound of light hitting the skin so hard that it's actually causing a tiny little sound wave to be emitted. It's called a photoacoustic effect, and this is called cavitation. The laser is causing tiny little bubbles to form in the tattoo as it breaks apart the tattoo particles into smaller and smaller pieces so that your body can clear it away. And
as he said it breaks it down into smaller pieces so that your immune system can clear the tattoo away. And if you look into how tattoos are set up, it really is a foreign substance in your body. Let me just get the scripture before I play that video. It says Jeremiah 10:16, the portion of Jacob is not like them, for he is the former of all things, and Israel is the rod of his inheritance. The Lord of hosts is his name. And when you look into the definition of former, it said having previously been a particular thing. Now, we understand that the nation of Israel was, it is the apple of the Lord's eye, but we were really meant to be a virgin bride towards the Lord. We're no longer virgins. We've been taken by the doctrines and the philosophies of these other nations, which goes into getting tattoos and stuff like that. The second explanation of former is denoting the first mentioned of two people or things. So Jacob was the first. So how does it look as being a first and you taking advice from a people that came after you? And I'm just going to play a little bit of this video.
Inside your immune system, literally. With each very tasteful piece of art, you kickstart a drama with millions of deaths, grand sacrifices, and your immune system stepping in to protect you from yourself. Let's give you a tattoo and zoom in to see what happens inside your skin. The conveyor belt of death. Your skin has to solve a huge problem. It's your largest organ and has the most direct contact with the world around you. Trillions of microbes, dirt, insects, and vermin can't be allowed to get inside you, but your skin is also constantly damaged by you moving through the world. Your body solved this by making your skin a conveyor belt of death. All the skin you see is actually dead stuff. The alive part of your skin cells begins around 1 millimeter deep in the skin industrial complex. Stem cells constantly clone themselves, producing new skin cells that begin a journey from the inside. They dry out and kill themselves, merging together into inseparable lumps. This wall of dead corpses is consistently pushed upwards. Up to 50 layers of dead cells cover your whole body and are constantly replaced by new cells moving up. Every hour, you shed around 200 million dead skin cells and all the dermis. It's full of structural tissue and cells, tiny blood vessels, sensory cells that report to nerve endings, the roots of your hairs, sweat glands regulating your temperature, and of course loads of immune cells, guarding your flesh right below the moving border wall. This region and below is where your new tattoo will go.
Sell like magic with Shopify's new AI tools.
So lucky. Yeah, my internet connection's a bit bad.
Okay, ready? The world explodes. Half a dozen monoliths the size of skyscrapers slam through the 50 layers of dead cells deep into the dermis, ripping huge holes into the skin, only to retreat and smash through the tissue again about twice a second. Tens of thousands of cells are violently killed right away, ripped into pieces, or damaged beyond repair. Luckily, you did your research and chose a responsible tattoo artist who properly disinfected their tools and your skin. But you only ever get 99.9% of all bacteria, and some of the survivors made it into your flesh. To put it mildly, your immune system is not amused at all. All the death and destruction wakes up hundreds of thousands of macrophages in your dermis that rush into the open wounds to defend you. Immediately, they start killing bacteria, release chemicals that call for reinforcements, and order your blood vessels to open up and make your dermis swell up with fluid. But worse than the hundreds of wounds and a few invaders is the tidal wave of chemicals that floods your tissue. Tattoo ink can be made from hundreds of substances, some may even be toxic or carcinogenic. Most are from heavy metals like lead, nickel or chromium dissolved in distilled water. The battlefield is now a wild mix of dead cell parts, a few panicked bacteria, blood and bodily fluids, platelet cells trying to close wounds, more and more fresh immune cells, and a flood of tattoo ink. On the scale of your cells, clumps of ink particles are huge. If you were the size of a cell, they'd range from big dogs to small office buildings. Your immune system has one main job: identify what is not you and smash it until it's dead. The macrophages are desperately trying to do that. Like tiny octopuses, they extend arm-like structures and begin pulling the ink particles inside. Usually, when a macrophage has eaten an enemy, it showers it in acid to dissolve it. But this doesn't work with the ink. They try, but nothing works. The particles don't react in any way. And this is just the particles small enough to be devoured. By now, the larger chunks are surrounded by thousands of your structural skin cells and macrophages that are nomming on them, bathing them in acid and attack chemicals, trying to destroy and kill. Your immune system has to concede. It will not win this fight, so it does the next best thing: not lose. Your cells don't know how dangerous these metals and chemicals are, but they can at least not let them spread around. So they just stay in place. They vacuum up all the particles they can fit into their bodies and trapping them in the only prison they can build, themselves. Bit by bit, the ink inside thousands of tiny wounds moves inside millions of immune cells that freeze in place forever. On the outside, you don't notice any of this. Your skin hurts and is irritated and swollen, but wounds heal, tiny holes close, dead cells are replaced. Bit by bit, the conveyor belt of death does its job, shedding dead cells ripe in color, replacing them with fresh and clean ones. Your tattoo becomes a little less vibrant, now the ink is no longer on your skin, but inside it. But what you're really seeing is millions of your macrophages sitting in your dermis, patiently holding the ink in place, protecting your...
Brothers want to watch that, they can, but it's essentially you're destroying your body. You know, when you drink liquor, it's technically a toxin, which is why I try not to drink certain spirits. And I try to keep to wine because it's blood of the grape. But if effectively what you're doing is you're cutting into your flesh. So even though he is right in a sense, you know, he's actually wrong in a sense, because you are cutting into your flesh, and it is for other gods. These are the gods of the other nations, because these are the kind of things that, you know, these other nations did in commemoration, you know, or in celebration of their powers. So you really are doing the same thing. So he was wrong with what you're doing, and at the end of the day, he was wrong in what he was saying. It says, Leviticus 19:28, you shall not make any cuttings in your flesh for the dead, nor print any marks upon you. So he forgot this word, print. I am the Lord. And when you have a tattoo, you're printing stuff onto your flesh. So regardless of how he wants to chalk it up, you know, he's going off. And again, you know, Jacob being a former of all things, we're not supposed to even listen to these other nations when they break down the scriptures. Here it is, you know, even today when I went out with the brothers, you got this guy who's coming up and he's arguing with the brothers. The brothers are out there prophesying, reading the scriptures, watching lessons, making lessons, and he's sitting there and he's arguing with people. You wouldn't go and argue with a mechanic if a mechanic says you need a new transmission. Oh, no, it doesn't. You just need to patch it up. Well, if I patch it up, it's going to break. I'm a professional. You know, you wouldn't argue with him, but when it comes to the scriptures, people want to argue with the brothers as if they have the same level of understanding as them. You know, Jacob is the form of all things. So the understanding of the scriptures has really been given to Jake, not for these other nations to break down, because they don't know what they're talking about, man. I mean, why would you put your body in that kind of situation? You'll never really get rid of that tattoo. For you to get rid of it, as a guy said, he has to shoot you know, tiny beams of light so loud it makes a cracking noise to try and break up the particles into even smaller pieces, so that your immune system can then carry it away and dispose of it how it's supposed to, you know, because it effectively is so unnatural. Your body doesn't even know what to do with it. Why would you want to put something like that in your body? There's a reason why these scriptures tell us how to behave a certain way. And again, you know, the easiest way to deal with a lot of things, and I fall short of it, what would Yahushua do? Yahushua would not be sitting on a tattoo chair getting inked, sitting there making a skull and crossbones on his shoulder. I mean, it's bugged out, man. This is Malachi 3:6. For I am the Lord, I change not. Therefore, ye sons of Jacob are not consumed. And he was saying it's in context and all this stuff. If you carry on watching the video, he says, you know, that they have this idea that the Lord has changed from one generation to the other, and the Lord is constant. You know, when you're perfect, which the Lord is, you don't need to change. You know, you say something and you keep to what you're saying. The only reason why he kind of done away with even like the law of sacrifice, because ultimately Jake was just using that to go off, you know. But through the Spirit, the Lord knew Jake was gonna do that. This is why he sent Yahushua to come back and be the ultimate sacrifice. This is all part of the Lord's plan. He knew Jake was gonna do this stuff. Even I was talking to somebody the other day, and he said the reason why we eat flesh is because we fell. You know, if we were in a garden, we wouldn't eat meat. We'd be vegetarians, because the Lord said herb is for eating, and fruits are for eating. But you know, on the Passover, you're supposed to eat the lamb. So that doesn't even make sense. Ultimately, the Lord knew Adam was gonna fall. The Lord knew that Adam was gonna fall, and therefore he was gonna eat meat. So it was always in a plan for Adam to eat meat. When you look at Cain and Abel, Abel even sacrificed meat to the Lord, right? And Cain sacrificed what? He gave fruits and vegetables, and the Lord wasn't pleased about that. So if he was so bad to kill animals, right, which is what the guy was basically saying, why would the Lord be pleased when Abel sacrificed an animal to him? So, like, when he talks about context, people actually have to understand that the Lord knew all of this stuff was going to happen. So he's not changing. He's just breaking it down in a way where Jake can actually deal with it. Because if he gives everything to Jake at once, Jake is not going to be able to handle it. Which is why he's slowly destroying these nations. He's not going to turn around and destroy Esau, Edom just like that. I mean, it'd bug Jake out. Jake wouldn't know what to do, and ultimately, it wouldn't put him in a situation for him to really be primed for leadership. You have to go through this refining process to make you suitable to be a leader. And the Lord understands this. At the end of the day, we put our trust in Adawan, and we know the Lord knows what's best for us. You know, us coming and trying to interpret, you know, the scriptures to make ourselves feel better is not the way to get closer to the Most High. You know, you're basically a kid. You just gotta do as you're told. And a lot of people in this society, you know, you have this real feminine spirit where you basically just want to be chaotic. You just want to do as thou wilt. And the scriptures don't tell you to be in that kind of mindset. This really is a thing of order. And even when you look at how army is structured up, you know, you have to follow the rules. You have to follow the order. And it's the same thing with the Most High, you know. So yeah, brothers can look into that. That really pissed me off, because he was basically trying to validate tattoos as if people should go out there and put ink on their skin, when you're essentially you're destroying. Let me get that real quick. This is 1 Corinthians 6:19. What, know ye not that your body is a temple of the Holy Ghost, which is the Spirit, the Holy Spirit which is in you, which ye have of Adawan, and ye are not your own? So these bodies don't belong to us. These bodies actually belong to the Most High. And when we do certain things, we're literally we're destroying something that doesn't even really belong to us, you know. And that's something that a lot of people have an issue with. You know, it wasn't up to you that you're 6'5" or you got a 3-inch penis. You know what I mean? That's your lot. You know, it wasn't your body. The body was given to you, and you have to deal with it accordingly. You have to take care of it. You know, if I give you something and I say take care of it until I get back, when I come back, it better be in a condition that I gave it to you in. Otherwise, I'm going to be very upset with you. You know, so that's what the Lord is. The Lord is a man of war, and we're supposed to act according to the edicts that he's given to us. You know, he gave us the commandments as instructions, and we're supposed to follow them. So yeah, Lord willing, this video was edifying. All praise to the Most High, Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Shai, double honest to the elders and apostles of Jerusalem. Well, shalom to the elect.